pump, that hit, Kevin, pump, this pump, evil, this pump, this What's up, everybody? Okay, it's time. I know that was a sort of a weird and abrupt start to the show, but that's all right. Nobody cares. Welcome to Sunday night. Welcome to All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show. I am one of your hosts, Rob Toohey. We have a couple of special guests tonight. And before we get started, I would like to announce that the All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show is meant to teach and help, but the opinions stated by the 7 of us on the show tonight, 7 people, are not that of Smiteworks USA, LLC, or Fantasy Grounds. And before we introduce our guests, let me just collectively say to my other 4 co-hosts, Mr. Leroon, Robin, Furied Fate, and Lady Shell, how is everybody? You can all answer at once.
Good.
Excellent. Complete silence.
We're here. I mean, come on.
Doing great.
Totally what I'm used to. All right. Well, we have Matakuri from
I love you, man.
Fantasy Grounds community, the Garvster. Thanks for the resub. He is here and will be talking with us and Ben regarding the 2 extensions or the 2 modules we have on the DM's Guild, which I'll pull up here on the screen as we're talking. And how are you, Matakuri?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Excellent. And then our special guest, you all know him from Syrinscape.com, former opera singer, Mr. Ben Loomes. How are you, sir? It's too bad that your voice modulated on that, but we all get that you were singing.
Excellent.
But welcome to the show. I think we can hear you now.
Thank you. Fantastic. Good.
And he is everybody in Australia, so he's in the future. That's how you know he's from Syrinscape.
Yes.
Is Ben lives in
He
the
was using
future.
auto tunes.
Yeah,
Right, and in the future, everybody has robot voices.
I've been assimilated.
That's right. Resistance is futile.
We're still downloading him.
Yeah. That's right.
So
State the nature of the podcast emergency.
What is the nature of your podcast emergency?
That's right.
Okay, and for some reason, since I have 250 titles, I can't seem to find these. I'm just struggling to even find the links. You would think, oh, did you put them in the show notes, Leroon? Maybe you did that.
I did for the Syrinscape and the modules, yes.
Okay, good. So let's do that. Here we go.
At least one of us is on top of it.
I can click. Okay, so here is Fantasy Grounds Syrinscape sound links. That is the extension and the module that you need to make the sounds work. And then there is a second module, which is a sort of a re-imaging of the former Fantasy Grounds sounds that used to use the DOE extensions that are no longer available. So Matakure redid them. And they're here. I'll put the links in the chat, and there's videos for each one as well. But Matakuri, if you want to sort of talk about those and then bring Ben into the conversation, and I'll let you sort of steer that since you're very much more knowledgeable about this kind of stuff than I am.
Oh, wait. I have a question.
Yes.
Why are the DOE sound effects no longer available?
Oh, so the DOE sound extension was perpetrated. I should maybe change the name from perpetrated to constructed by a guy in the Fantasy Grounds community who has left, and he took his toys home, and so although the people that have previously purchased that on DM's Guild can still use it and it will always continue to work, the extensions are no longer available to be retrieved. So I stopped selling that because if you get it, you can't get the extensions to make it work. And then through a collaboration of Ben and his team and Matakuri and his genius, all this other stuff is now the way to go. So that's what they're going to talk about.
Okay, and then I have another thing that's been mentioned in chat a couple times. What is audio overseer?
I don't know what Audio Overseer is, so I can't address that.
It's another extension.
Oh, that's the one by Celestian.
Yes.
Oh, so
It's
Celestian
a
has, he's
similar
also done something with sounds, but we're not talking about what he did tonight because I don't even really know that much about it.
Okay.
And do people in chat know what Syrinscape is full stop? Like, is everyone
Absolutely,
100%
you
familiar,
could go
or should
right it.
we-
And why don't you give them the pitch that you'd like them to know in case
Yeah.
there is somebody that doesn't know?
Just in case you've been living under a rock, Syrinscape is an app. It was originally an app that you ran just on your phone or your tablet or your PC, and it makes beautiful, immersive sound effects and music for tabletop games. It has licenses with Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and Starfinder and Cyberpunk Red and all sorts of games to make the official sounds for those adventures, and actually makes pre-prepared adventure modules so that when you get to the emboldened title that says bugbear attack, you just click the bugbear attack button and you've got all the music that you'd expect in a movie running. We made that you play remotely, so it has a version on the computer.
Well,
that's
Ben,
just
you,
the last thing was all real.
yeah, you started to modulate then, but we would like to also add that Syrinscape runs beautifully, unlike Ben's cell phone connection to Discord from Australia, which is why his modulated voice has nothing to do with Syrinscape, just so you know. But yeah, go ahead, Ben. I think you're back. You can continue if you'd like. Oh, I spoke too soon.
Oh
Nope.
no.
That is a
He's
shame.
only here for like at 5-second intervals, and then it's gone for a minute.
Yeah. By the way, the picture on the screen is the gentleman that's talking. That's Ben right there. He does a lot of videos on YouTube. I'm going to do what anybody does when someone speaks a foreign language they don't understand. I'm just going to say, yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yes. That's a shame. Well, maybe John, if you want to jump in and start on what you want to tell people, and we'll see if we can work Ben back in as he can connect with his voice.
Yeah, absolutely. So as was mentioned before, when the DOE extensions were pulled, I'd been using them to add Syrinscape into my games for a while, and I wanted a replacement, and there wasn't anything out there. So I decided to go ahead and write my own extension for it, which is what we're going to be showcasing here today. One of the things that I learned about initially was I learned about the new online player, which I knew existed, but I knew it didn't work with the DOE extension. So that was one of my goals, was to make sure that the online player would work with this. So to go ahead and Rob's got his table up. We're going to go ahead and load it up and run through it. Basically, I have the extension, which enables all of the functionality, and the first module, which is the sound links themselves, has all of the links to the individual sounds. So to go ahead and see those, you need to go to the library first and turn on the sounds.
Go to the
Go to your library,
turn on the sounds, boom,
and just click all. And now you'll see Syrinscape sounds there on the right-hand side. You click that open, and now you've got an interface with all of the sounds that Syrinscape offers to you. So there's a couple of things you can filter by. You can filter by the product or pack or the sound set or the type of sound. The grouping is by whether they're for the board game, the Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy, all of the different types of groupings. So those are all of the individual ways that you can kind of filter through, find the sound that you want. And then once you're ready to actually start playing a sound, you just go ahead and click on one of those sound links to open the record. And there's a green play button and a red stop button. And so all you got to do is click the green play button and it'll start to play.
I maybe have the volume down too much.
Can anyone hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
man.
We'll try this connection.
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Now,
That sounds great.
One thing, if it's not triggering for you, Rob,
It
is
is.
to make sure that we have your. It is? Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to
yeah,
say
it
we
is.
need to make sure you
It
have
was
the
just a
registration
voice,
authentication code.
Yeah, I do, and it was working. Let's see. Let's try this one. Space Wars theme. Then I can just
Something I'm
stop
very
it.
proud of.
That is
Right.
good.
And you can go ahead and just click on the stop button.
And the cool
And so
thing about the
there's-
stop
there's-
button is that it fades it out rather than it doesn't just abruptly stop
Yeah.
it, which is kind of cool.
Right. Those are nice.
One of the big differences, rather than just playing MP3s, is Syrinscape actually creates fully generative environments that can be cross-faded from one into the other. You can add a little bit of rain, mix different elements together. If you don't like the dogs in town, you can turn them off. All that sort of stuff is really customizable.
Really cool. The mixer and everything, it's really nice.
Grim Press has a question. So this no longer needs an extension of any kind to work, or is there another extension that is required for this?
The extension is included with the module, so they come as a package together.
Right.
The biggest thing is that rather than trying to use the Fantasy Player, the standalone offline version, and trying to get messages through and people needing to have content pre-installed, this all works with the online player. So only one person needs that subscription, and all the content is automatically installed as it's required on the remote machines. You're not streaming the audio; you're actually playing it directly on people's machines. So the sort of audio, bumps that I've been experiencing trying to connect remotely with you guys doesn't happen because the audio is actually playing directly on people's machines, and that makes a huge difference. It makes it much more smooth.
Right. And since you said that, Ben, a lot of people have been asking the question. A couple of years ago, we did some videos about how to set up Syrinscape sounds on your computer through voice meter so that you could play it to the players using Discord. And all of that is gone now because if you have the online player, your players can just connect to your game, and every sound you play will play on their machine at the same time. So don't need to.
That's right.
You no longer have to go through any of the sound setups or anything. You can just do it directly. It's really awesome.
And you're not hogging any bandwidth when those sounds are being played. Once a sound is so you trigger some music, all the little remote devices take care of caching that sample themselves, and then once they've got it on the machine in their cache, if you trigger that music at a later date, it just automatically plays without actually using any bandwidth at all, apart from that tiny little thing that says play this music. So there's lots of cool stuff. All the players can trigger their own cell sounds and their own sound effects, which is super, super, super cool. And that's one of the things this extension makes really easy.
Yeah, it's really great. I love it. And as you can see here, before Matakiri continues, we have 238 pages of sounds. Each page has 100 sounds, so that's like 23,800 sounds. That's currently.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. Go ahead, Matakiri.
Yeah, so you've got the interface there, and I'm in a couple of games where we're using this, and the DM, I'm not the DM in those, the DM likes to give some of our players the ability to trigger individual sounds, that may relate to their character or abilities that they have. So what I did was I made the ability to create like a story entry or anywhere where there's formatted text. So Rob, if you could just create a story entry.
Okay. How do you do it? I've never used
questions.
What should I put in the story entry?
Okay, so all you're going to put in the story entry is drag the green play button and drop it onto the story entry. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a link to that sound to start it playing. Then you can share that story entry with your players, and then your players will then have the ability to have a limited soundboard that you give them access to.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want them to have everything, obviously.
Right.
But
in
having two
our-
or three sounds.
In our Saturday night game, Matakiri and I play in a Saturday night game, and the DM has customized a soundboard for each one of us. So mine has Vicious Mockery, and it has a laugh, and it has my Rapier of Warning, and so since I have the Rapier of Warning, where you can't be surprised if I click it, you just hear warning. It's just funnier than hell. So yeah, you can
God.
We have a
play
couple
that.
questions in the chat.
Yep, couple questions, folks.
Awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have Marbongo. Does that mean we can turn the volume down on music and the one
Yes.
shots up in volume?
Well,
That's right. So
yeah.
two main things. The DM can easily set the volume of every different element in the sound design. But also what's really cool is that each person playing can actually adjust their own personal volume. So it balances it the way that they like it and the way their audio setup happens to be on their computer. So you've got your own little app on your computer or your phone, in fact, plugged into stereo, however you want to play it. And then you can adjust that, per your normal personal taste, rather than it all being mixed down in the voice stream and interfering with each other. So yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
there's
is just,
one
I mean,
more.
it was really cool a couple years ago when that's what we had, but this is infinitely better than the way it used to be. Yeah,
So
so
Darth
cool.
Vex
I
has
have
a question.
One more question. I have one from Tom Knapp that came before Darth Vex.
Okay.
Tom Knapp, 1976, wants to know, will you still get the daily message that your system ID has changed and thus having to log in again while using this?
He's referring to some bug, a semi-bug, which is created by people changing their computer setup. So, that's really related to the fantasy player. So, no, is the answer to that question.
Okay, Darth Vex, this is more for Ben. What are the rules exactly for uploading sound bites that are from copyrighted protected things like TV shows? Can we use them in our own games and sound triggers as long as we don't share them with the whole Syrinscape community?
Yes, that's right. So when you create custom content and you upload it to be attached to your account in much the same way that you would store some files on Dropbox or something like that, that's completely only accessible by you. You can then play back that music using the player, and then that's something that you can use for your own personal use according to normal kind of copyright procedures. And yes, that person's talking about the fact that you can also create content and share it with the whole community, which people have done. So some of the D&D adventures that we haven't got to yet, like Forge of Fury and some other cool things, people have actually created custom content for those adventures using some of the material that's already available in Syrinscape. And then the community is actually using that content to play their own games, which is super, super cool.
That is cool.
So, is this planned for Unity, Matacuri?
Yes, this does work in Unity, but there are some performance issues that need to be, they haven't finished all of the performance tweaking. The fact that we have 23,000 plus sounds tends to overload Unity. So it does open, it does run, but the last time I tested it, I clicked to open the Syrinscape Sounds window, and it took about 10 minutes to launch the window. But that's only the first time you have to launch it. So I suppose if you.
So how is the Mac implementation going? I have a question about Macs for Mac users.
Yeah, that's something that wasn't possible in the previous version, and why we were really pushing for this to be implemented to work with online. Is that those third-party integration calls don't work on the offline player on Mac, but they absolutely do work. The way we've set up the architecture now, you control Syrinscape online player from any browser, or in fact, by links that are in the extension, and then you can play the online player little applet on any device, including Mac or your phone or your tablet or anything like that, and then it will receive these calls. So it works 100%, and that's something I pushed for ages and ages and ages, to use the online player architecture rather than this kind of slightly inelegant hack to make the offline players work. Does that make sense? Did I rave on too much?
Yeah.
I could have said yes.
Yes.
we did miss part of it, but yeah, I was catching it, and basically I understood you to be saying yes, which is nice, because I know that
right.
So, Matacuri, what about on your
don't
side?
feel any love.
So yes, to
More yeses.
To a certain extent. So Fantasy Grounds only runs on Windows, Fantasy Grounds Classic. And so the people that are using it on Macs have to use various things like emulators, running it under Wine or whatever. So there are a few complications with setting it up with on a Mac. But on the forums, if you look at the Fantasy Grounds forums post for this extension, there are a number of Mac users who have gotten it to work and provided some technical workarounds because of the limitations. Now, once Unity comes out with a fully native Mac client, it'll have an easier time communicating with the Syrinscape client. on the Mac, because there's not all of these emulation layers in between interrupting things.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm going to put the links in the chat again for everybody. Go ahead, Manicure.
Something Ben said is a great segue into a feature on this that I wanted to point out, and that's the ability to add your own sounds. So the Syrinscape Online, their sound set creator, has the ability to add sound sets and one shots and all kinds of, you can design your whole customized sound system, sound setup however you like. And they've generously added this feature that allows you to download a CSV file which contains links to all of the sounds that you have access to. And this lets you import those sounds here into your Fantasy Grounds table. So all the custom sounds that you create, then you can go ahead and use it directly straight here on Fantasy Grounds.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it is fun. It's great. I was playing the other day online with my team, and I had composed a new piece of music for some future content, and I was able just to, while we were playing, just to install that into a quick little draft sound set and just hit play, and it uploaded and downloaded and played on their machines. It was super cool.
Cool.
Did that come through?
I don't have any sounds in my thing, so I guess we probably can't do an example of it because mine's empty. I don't have any in there yet. Because I didn't.
Well, if you were to download the CSV, it would have your Super Siren list of sounds, so it wouldn't actually do anything because you already have the sounds that are already in Fantasy Grounds.
Right. Okay.
So can we set up a chat trigger, or is that hard to do right now?
That is super, super easy to do, and a great segue. So chat triggers, the idea behind chat triggers is that we wanted a way to be able to automatically trigger a sound, to play when something occurs here in Fantasy Grounds. So I set it up so that the chat triggers monitors the chat, and it looks for text. And when it finds that text in the chat and it matches some kind of a pattern, then it'll go ahead and trigger the sound that you've linked. So you can create your own chat triggers. You can export them into a module so you can use them in multiple games. Rob, if you want to open up some of the chat triggers, we can take a look at. They're very, very simple to create and find match text on.
Okay, so here's Acid Splash.
All right, so you've got Acid Splash. If you unlock the record, you can see that the first line is use regular expressions. That's a more advanced feature. It uses pattern matching. Otherwise, you just generally want to just put in some kind of text, trigger text. And this is what the chat triggers are going to look for in the chat. And then the last field is just the sound record that you want to play. And so you can add your own sound record, just drag and drop the sound record directly to that spot. And then when that phrase, in this case, damage, acid splash, appears in chat, like when you click on the damage button on your actions tab of your character sheet, it'll go ahead and automatically trigger that sound.
Which it just did.
One thing to keep in mind on this, and this just came up with a user recently, is it's not looking at the name of the person who triggered the sound. Like, it's not triggering on GM. It doesn't see that. It only sees the text that's being said.
Okay.
And for you, Ben, I just triggered the fart sound in there. And I believe if you do it multiple times, there's different ones, right? Yeah.
Of course. God. I think there are more than 50 farts in there.
There's more than 50.
There are.
That must have been fun to make.
It was literally nauseating, like actually nauseating in the end.
What was it, Bean Night, and you guys decided to go for it, or?
Oh, you'd be horrified how that was created.
I'm gonna pass out. I can't do it.
Beers and Bean Night.
Oh my God.
So funny.
There we go. All right. So that is just fantastic. And that is basically, so the chat triggers, as I said before, is a re-imaging and multiple times better than the one we used to have, which is how you get, like, if you watch some streams, some people use it where if you roll a crit or you make a fumble or if you do you whisper, then the whisper sound plays, and all the different things in the chat that can happen, you can assign sounds to those, and most of them have them. And then if you want to make your own, like Matakiri said, you can change it and make your own or switch out the sounds if you don't like one. Like a big thing in the community was when somebody went unconscious, it played that piano fall music, boom, like that. And everybody heard that so much, they were like, can we get rid of that? Well, yeah, you can. You can either get rid of it or change it, whatever you guys want to do.
Yep. We also, in production, big sound sets for each of the casters in D&D 5e. So we're going to go through and really make fantastically rich custom sets for the druid and the warlock and the sorcerer. So all those spells will really get souped up and with more variation.
Nice.
Oh,
which is very
man,
exciting.
that's going to be great.
And as soon as those are out, I will be updating our chat triggers to use all of them.
Yeah.
And raise the price.
Nice.
Thank you. All right. What? Did I say that out loud?
Whoops.
Right. Get it now, because if you buy it early at the low price, you always get the updates for free.
So, question for Ben. This is from Leroon. Last time we spoke, I'm not expecting you to remember this, but I was wondering, because I haven't used Syrinscape in a while. Did you ever pursue the emotional aspects? I know there's some on there already. So like a sigh or a frown, or for personal characters, for like male, female, kind of like emotional emotes.
So we people aren't sorry. Okay, people mainly use the spell sounds and the weapon sounds, and the voice acting of the different classes wasn't actually used very much. So it's not something we focused on.
Understood.
The musical stings are used quite a lot. So your bum 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 and your ta da 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 are used quite a lot. So that's probably something we'll add to in the future.
Cool.
There's a few requests in the pipeline. Someone asked for a ba-boom ching, so I think that'll definitely be coming along soon.
Nice.
So So
this is kind of
really.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. You go for it.
That line of questioning made me think of this as you guys were talking. Does Syrinscape have the ability to know which sounds are used more, or like, do you guys have counters or stats on that stuff? You do. Okay, that's awesome. So you know where the popular stuff is. Like D&D Beyond has that. They know how many people are making clerics and how many people are making fighters and stuff like that. And it's cool when they put those stats out to sort of give you an idea of where the community focuses.
Absolutely.
So that's
what it's called. Every time someone goes on, to go through and out to the class, and the big story has been a huge explosion of Dungeons and Dragons, and a lot of lost have been over, and the Dragon Heist adventure, and then super exciting this week we've got I think there's definitely stuff coming out. So there's a lot of as much D&D content as possibly can, because people are really using this pre-made adventures, because they don't have to search out the monsters. You just go through to this and you up to and you hit play. That's super efficient.
Yeah, we missed a lot of what you said, but I get what you were saying. It all boils down to this freaking cure.
Yes, we do, and we see people using lots of D&D stuff.
Yeah, D&D's probably, that's just super popular. There's no questioning that. Okay, Matakiri, was there more that you wanted to say about? Just fart 50 times in the chat. Did we cover everything with that?
There's a couple other things that I could mention. The focus of when we did the extension was to use the Syrinscape online, because it just works so much better. But the extension does have the ability, if you're still using the fantasy or sci-fi players, to use those. There's an option in there that allows you to switch between using the Syrinscape online and using the fantasy player or the sci-fi player. There's also the option, normally when you trigger a sound link, it plays through the Syrinscape online player and it's all good. But there were some, specifically for some of the Mac users, that were having trouble getting that communication working. They found that if they triggered the URL to open in a web browser, then it would allow them to play. It creates a tab every time, but it's something that they could live with. So for people that need that, there's also an option to switch to the browser version, which opens the URLs in the browser and allows it to play.
Okay, so guys, if you're still using this version, that works. And but I think, I mean, if you're asking my opinion, the online player is where it's at, because your players can hear the sounds. You know, if your players don't have to have a subscription or pay anything. If you do, if you're the DM, they can just log into your game, and I mean, it's all just really fantastic. But as he says, the functionality's there if you want to do it the old way as well.
Yeah. So if I keep my answers short, do people tend to catch the beginning of them?
I think so. Yeah, I think if you yeah, yes, yeah. I could have just said
no,
yes,
maybe
Ben.
so.
Instead, I chose to use
Ask
10
me
words.
questions.
Um,
This is a challenge for Ben.
to keep it short. Is that what you're saying?
To not enthuse too much. That's right.
Well, I think everybody, I mean, let me just say, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but I love Syrinscape. I know everybody here does, and I'm pretty sure I've never heard even one negative word about Syrinscape from anybody ever. I think everybody just loves it.
Nope.
And I know
That's
that
right.
even if you're online, or even if you're at your kitchen table with your iPad or your iPhone or whatever, you know, enhancing and immersing further into the game with all of your stereo sound, or all of the music and the one shots and everything. I mean, it's just fantastic. I think everybody loves it. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that.
Yeah.
So question.
We are working. We're working as fast as we can, spending as much money as we can to make it better all the time, and literally in response to people's requests.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. I know. You know, Gwydion, Alan Dodge. He's a big fan as well, and he has praised your work to me about responding to the community and you know, listening to people and doing the best you can with requests and stuff. And you know, not many companies care about that. They just want your money. But you seem to actually be enthusiastic that people like what's happening and that it's useful for them. So that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Totally. Question from a Clancy. He's asking, what do players need to consume the sounds? I mean, we kind of covered that.
Yeah,
but
the
how does
only
that
thing
work?
they need is the Syrinscape online player, which you can download from the site for free.
And then
That's
they
right.
just have to
Free
connect
account.
to their dungeon masters.
Right.
Like,
And you would here, like, I'll show you guys what would happen. You would go to, I think, is it
Control panel.
Yeah, here we go. So here's Ben's game. That's Schmo, FSA Schmo, and this is Drake. And when I'm what your DM would do is send you a link, and it would take you here, and you would just go into that game. So like, let's say I went into Drake's game, the Saturday night game. The online player, I think I might have to refresh it somehow.
Well, you just invited Drake to your game.
Oh, did I? Well, so let me start with this. You have to fucking know what you're doing to start with. You have to know what's happening. Let me just back that up. Thank you, Metacuri. So how do I? Well, anyway, I mean,
go back to that control panel.
Yeah.
Oh, invite. Yeah, I even clicked invite to your game. This is so ridiculous. I'm so stupid.
Right on the left-hand side, there's a copy. He moved again. There's a copy to that one, the middle one.
Yeah.
That's there's the show link and then copy and regenerate. You just copy that, paste it into an entry. What we do is paste it into an entry in Fantasy Grounds in a story entry on the message of the day. Player clicks it and they're ready to rock and roll.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
That's right. And when we like in Drake's game, when we go there in the message of the day, he's got the link in there. So that's what he did. He copied this.
Yeah.
And then he went and he put it in the message of the day in a link like that. And then you click on it and it takes you to this website. And then it shows you that you're in Drake's game. And then when you go here, instead of me, it would say Drake right there.
Yeah, that's right.
And then
You
that's
do
how
have
that
to
works.
play. You do have to run the online player app at some point. Some people miss that. They think just because they've clicked that link, they
Oh,
should now
right.
be able to hear
You do
sound.
have to, you have to download the app. So you have to go here to Syrinscape Online Beta, and then you have to go here to either Windows, Mac, iOS, or Android, download it, and then I just have it. You know, if I type in, I think if I type in Syrinscape in my, right here, it just go, and then I turn it on. That's how I do. Yeah. So you gotta have that on for sure. Yeah.
It doesn't work by magic power.
Yeah,
actually.
it doesn't. It should work by magic, but it doesn't.
That's right.
It's computers. It's all ones and zeros.
Someday, down the road.
Someday.
Yay.
Right, Robin, right. Okay, so did we exhaust all of the Fantasy Grounds part of it that we need to talk about?
Let's see. We've got the authentication token set up for that. Is just a one-time thing that you need to do. That's part of the initial setup. You only have to do that once, not once per campaign, just once per Fantasy Grounds. I think we covered the other two. The CSV import allows you to import your custom sounds and anything that's been released since the last time I updated the module. And then the chat triggers is where you can set up all those automated triggers.
Excellent.
So, I think we've covered everything.
All right, let's give away some of these Fantasy Grounds modules. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to run a raffle here, everybody. And in the raffle, I'll give away to 2 people both modules. Let's do that. So
Nice.
it's Crazy Town here. It's Crazy Prize Town. So DM's Guild sound stuff. So you're gonna get both the sound links extension and module as well as the chat triggers, and we'll make the keyword super easy for everybody. Let's make the keyword Ben. So you got to type in exclamation BEN, everybody. If you can't do that, then you don't deserve to win.
So not BEEN.
No, it's not NEB backwards or anything like that. I think people get it. So we'll give away 2 sets to 2 lucky people. And then there'll be more people with. Now, keep in mind, I think we said this before, but it does say it on the DM's Guild too. These actually won't work unless you have the Syrinscape, subscription. So you have to be willing to get that in order to make these work. But if you're DMing a game, only you need to have that. Your players do not.
Cool.
So, but as far as
Always,
I'm concerned.
you could always get your players to pay for it.
That's
that'd be
right.
nice.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
That's how
Now,
you do it.
that
Throwing that
actually
out
brings
there.
up something else. It is possible to have a player have the subscription. The only thing that the DM would have to do is have the player give them their authentication code.
Right.
And have the player acting as the Syrinscape DM, not the DM for the game, but the Syrinscape DM, and then they would play exactly the same.
And they would go here on the website and get the token, and copy it and give it to the DM, and then the DM can go here and put it in the registration, and then that would work. So so that's great too. So one of the people in your group must have the subscription at least. But you know what? Let's be honest. Everybody just get it because it's awesome.
So Ben, what is your target date for final release? Do you have a target?
Yeah, it's interesting. We have this debate frequently. It is functioning. I keep sort of saying to Ty, our lead developer, do we take the badge off? You still hearing me?
Do we take it off?
I don't think there's really any need to have the badge on, except that this weekend, for instance, we've had a massive increase in usage. I think there's quite a few people starting remote games. And just this morning, we woke up and the online player was taking about 90 seconds to start, which was confusing people and it was a bit weird. We found another kind of corner where we could make things more efficient, considering the massive, almost doubling in growth just over the weekend. So that kind of suggests we should leave it in beta while there's still some bumps every now and then. But certainly it's a fully functioning space station with just a few things that need some polishing.
So after the prize, can we go over the subscriptions?
Yeah, Tom Knapp asked a good question. We'll do that, but let me dole out these prizes. So, out of the only 18 people entered. You know why? Because they already have it. People don't already buy it. It's like, he's giving away shit I already have. Let's do the first winner is the Dungeon Tomb. Congrats.
Yeah.
Nice.
Congrats.
So I will put my Spencer. He's putting in. He's late. I will put my Discord link here. So the Dungeon Tomb. Go ahead and send me a PM, a personal message in my Discord server, and I will ensure that you get a copy of both of those. And then let me draw a second name as well. Dun, 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 dun. Marmusman. Well, there you go. Marmusman has won as well. So congrats to Marmusman. He's already in my Discord.
All right.
And for some reason, he's very much more important than the Dungeon Tomb because his name is giant font. I don't know what happened there. That's not true. And then don't go away, everybody, because by the end of the show, you know me, I'm prone to giving more shit away just at the drop of a hat. So no promises, but don't leave. All right.
Package?
Yeah, right. You only wish.
Big package.
Give away something worth $2,000 to people. Sometime I have before. So Ben, anything else we didn't cover or right, I'm sorry, I forgot the Tom Knapp had a question about
subscription.
Subscription. His question was can you cover that, and specifically if you own sounds outright, do you have to pay for a sub to get this going forward?
Okay, so as soon as I go garbled, you guys shout and you can take over, okay?
We will shout.
Yes, a Super Siren subscription is required for remote play. You can play sounds just for yourself at the table physically without a subscription. And those sounds can be anything you own or outright. With a Super Siren subscription, everything we release during the period of your active subscription, you gain permanent ownership of. So if for some crazy reason your subscription has to end, they'll stay in your library and active.
Any kind of crazy reason that you wouldn't be.
That's right. We're seriously releasing so much fantasy stuff, so much D&D stuff in particular, and also Pathfinder and generic stuff at the moment. So a subscription is a super discounted way of buying everything we release. And yes, just to emphasize, to play those remote games and have people follow your games around the world, you pay that subscription to give us the support to not only run the servers and to cope with all this traffic, but also to continue developing the software, helping out guys who build these extensions by building those CSVs and making the thing work smoother, and continuing to compose music and get voice actors and all that sort of stuff that keeps us as a company going. And can I just say super, super, super thank you to all those people listening who are subscribers. It's by far the best way of supporting a company like us. It gives us a regular income that we can then distribute and eat as well as plan for the future and make things better and better all the time.
Yeah. By the way, I think if you give the disclaimer for us to shout at you in case your voice modulates, then it doesn't happen because you got through that whole thing and it was perfect. Yeah.
Oh my God!
It was beautiful.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because I know that Ben was saying like all the awesome sounds that you can get in this, but also I just want everybody to know there's also like sci-fi stuff and ambient sound, like forest music or whatever. There's all kinds of cool stuff for no matter what kind of game you run. It's not just fantasy.
Yes. Absolutely. I love sharing random things with the community. Just last week, I made a piano piece that is created by randomly playing all these different piano notes in these interesting patterns, and I just shared that with our Super Sirens, and it's very peaceful and slightly disturbing.
Okay, actually, I think Marmusman just has. I'm not sure I understand the reason, but he said that I could give his prize to someone else, so I'm going to draw another name. And that person is Nafar. So Nafar, you send me a message at Discord, and congrats to you. Here's the Discord link if you don't have it, and I'll write his name down instead. And then again, I might give away something at the end of the show. By the way, for those of you watching, as soon as Ben runs off at the end of the show to go live the rest of his life, we are going to, as we do every Sunday night, stop the stream and then restart it and play Jack's Box TV game. So you're all welcome to stick around. We can have up to 10,000 players, and I'm not kidding. All right. Anything else we need to cover? I just am so overwhelmed by all the Syrinscape-ness of it all. It's just fantastic.
I do have an announcement a little bit, but not totally.
Yeah, we'll wait till after Ben leaves before we give the announcement. Yeah, it's nothing Ben wants to hear, I'm sure. Anything else you'd like to showcase or talk about, Ben, regarding the company or future efforts? I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Anything you want to say?
Yeah. Go to the forums, just search for Syrinscape forums and become a part of the discussion there. We literally are responding to, the community and what the community is saying they want and need. And what you say affects, what the priority of what we develop. And yeah, as a Super Siren subscriber, you get early access and a special listen to as a part of that community. And it's really, really important for us as a company.
Excellent. And I just put the link in the chat for everybody. So forum.syrinscape.com.
I can confirm that they are very responsive on the forums. I've already had numerous conversations and posts on the forum that have been responded to by them.
Like, for instance, I would like as many people as possible to go to the forums and ask for Philips Hue lighting integration. Because personally, it's something I really, really want to be highly.
So you're getting our audience to slap your team in the face and make them realize that what the boss said should go. I'd love it. I'd love to.
That's funny. Hugh Mungus is his name. Is that right? Hugh Mungus.
But yeah, if there's someone out there that doesn't know what he's referring to, so Philips lighting is lighting in your house that you can control via Google or Alexa or maybe one day Syrinscape, and you can come home and say lights on, and you've seen it in all the movies, Bill Gates' house, whatever. And then also with Hue lighting, you can have moods, and so imagine if you played D&D in your kitchen or your man cave or wherever you were, and then the sounds made the lights all turn red for blood or blue for it'd just be so cool. I never even thought of that. I'm freaking out.
Yeah, the way we've set up the architecture of the online player, it's a fairly straightforward integration. When I say things like that, it'll only take a couple of weeks, my poor Ty tends to turn red and say, yes, there are other important things we have to do as well. So if people could literally lols go to our forum and say, it'd be great, Philips Hue lighting integration. Let's get multiple independent threads asking for that.
Yeah, I love it. I love the whole conspiracy about the whole thing. I'm in. I'm going to do it. Urban Economist, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'll lead by example, and I'll just do this as we're talking. I'll go here. Philips lighting. I'm just gonna do
it. And just don't tell Ty.
Well, if he watches the show, he'll see me typing in other forms at your behest. I'm just gonna do really simple. Philips Hue lighting. Can you guys make this happen?
Excellent.
Done.
Good.
It's just done. Oh my god, that's funny. Cool. Anything else?
Yeah, I can imagine a red flash on the lights as the fireball goes off. I can imagine each mood in Syrinscape corresponding to a certain color. Green for the forest, blue for the magical room, and then as I said, each of those one shots can trigger a bit of a kind of a lighting event. I think.
Yeah, based on this idea alone, I'm gonna have to get a new house.
What? Yes. What I'm trying to think of what else I should say. If you are interested in trying Syrinscape or this integration, in fact, search for Syrinscape trial. Grab a Super Siren trial. It's the typical thing. You sign up, but you don't pay anything for a month. So if you need to cancel for some crazy reason before 30 days is up, you can cancel that and you won't pay a dime. So give that a try. That's probably the most straightforward thing. Yeah, really, really seriously, just ask for help if you have any trouble with this stuff on support@syrinscape.com or jump on the forums and we can sort you out.
Nice.
Cool.
So Ben, do you have any other I don't expect you to disclose who they are, but do you have any other game companies or maybe new sound sets on the way?
Yeah, I mean the big thing, the big new release which is happening this week, is for, which I don't think we've actually announced. So anyway, people knew it was coming, but this is a scoop, yay! Descent into Avernus, our first big adventure pack, is coming out this week. And so anyone who is a subscriber, when that gets released, will have that added to their permanent library.
Sweet.
We are, I'm trying to think of, I mean, we've got really Cyberpunk Red is the big one. So we're having a big launch of some content. We've already released some content for that, for the beginner box that they made, and that's sounding amazing. Really, really great stuff. And obviously, we're continuing to release content for the Starfinder role-playing game, which is wonderful and rich. You can fly your spaceship around space. And for Pathfinder and Mutants and Masterminds, and we're going to focus a bit more in the future on the board game player.
You're starting to robot there a little bit.
Thank you. Excellent.
Just really fantastic stuff, Ben. You have the greatest job. I'm sure you just have fun every day, you and your team. Pretty fantastic stuff, and I know that like I was excited when you guys went to Wizards and used some of their personnel that work there to do some of the voices and stuff. That's just really cool.
Cool.
Well, listen, that flew by really fast for me. I don't know about anybody else, but we've been almost an hour. But we want to thank you, Ben, for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it, and we know that we had some difficulties, but I think we made it work. Any final words from you, sir, before you go?
Yes. When I use this integration Syrinscape Online for my fantasy ground game,
still robot. Yeah, try again. I think you were saying when you use the integration with Fantasy Grounds.
Yep. Because Syrinscape is playing locally on the machine, if the voices break up, the sound goes on undisturbed. So, and one more thing, thank you so much for Matt and the amazing work you've done with this integration. You're a legend.
Thanks.
Aww.
He is. He's a genius. I have several over the last couple of years. I've met half a dozen of these guys, Matakiri, not the least of them, who are just super smart with stuff that they've been able to dig into the XML and the Lua and the just Fantasy Grounds programming itself, and way beyond me and what I started. So I'm happy to know all these guys. And this sound thing is, it literally is the most popular thing on DM's Guild right now.
John, I remember having that conversation with you too a couple months ago.
Oh yeah. We talked about it for a while.
I love you, man.
Hey, Rovas, thanks for the sub. If you go to the DM's Guild and look at the top VT titles right now, the green
I love you, man.
Hey, Londell, thanks for the sub. The green VTT ones are the green covered ones are the two we're talking about tonight, and they're position number 1 and 4. So there you go. They used to be 1 and 2. What happened? My codes overtook. Thank you. No. Anyway, Ben, we'll let you go and get back to living in Australia and making sounds. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the show.
It was fun. Thank you so much.
And we'll have you on again in the future. I'm sure this is your second time on the show, so we'd love to have you back.
I'm always
in the future.
happy.
Excellent.
Thank you,
sir.
and thank you for putting up with my internet.
Yes. Yeah. No problem. Thank you so much.
See you guys. Bye.
Okay. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ben.
Bye.
Bye.
So awesome. There he goes, everybody. He's just too awesome to come on. Now, I know, Leroon, before we forget, you had an announcement you wanted to make to the audience, so why don't you go right ahead and do that?
Okay, so we are growing. I mean, we as in a community, our show is growing, our community's growing. So Rob and I kind of had an indirect conversation about having me step back from the show. And this in no way means I'm quitting. What I'm going to be doing is helping more behind the scenes and helping Rob get guests, help him lock them in, also do research, help him with the more of the back end part of it. I will still be on shows occasionally. I will fill in for one of these others if they can't make it sometime. And I'll be moderating the chat. So I'm not giving up on the show. I'm just going to be changing my role. And so I won't be on the show as often. And that will be something that also helps me with my family, because usually this is dinner time. and so I can still kind of be around, but not actually talking on the chat. Also, we have a new addition to the team, so I figured I will make room and welcome Robin. And
Aw.
Lady Shell is going to be taking my place instead. So it'll be Rob and the Three Angels. I don't know if you get the reference, but that is the way that Rob and I had agreed. And I will be helping with the show still, getting guests, and I'll be on occasionally. So if anybody has a problem with that or anything, just PM me in private or tell Rob or whatever. But that's what's happening.
Don't tell Rob, tell you. But yeah, so yeah, Rob is Bosley. Yeah, Walking Dude knows the reference. So, and we never did. I mean, I did it on Twitter, and I think I did it in Discord, but I didn't do it formally on the show. So, we would like to welcome Robin. She is now permanent guest host on the show. So welcome, Robin. Yay. And also, yay. And also Lady Shell, who has been with us for quite some time on an on and off basis, is also now permanent guest host as well. So it will be.
That's what happens when I don't have a Sunday game anymore.
Right? Because that's why you were only doing bi-weekly, is because you had a game. And you told all of your people to fuck right off. I'm going to do Rob's show. No, that's not what happened. I'm just kidding.
No, Matt Curry was my DM, so no, I did not say that.
And so now it is Furied and Lady Shell and Robin and I will be the mainstay host, and of course Leroon will be around as he can or wants to. And that's how we're gonna do it. And so everybody should just love it. And actually, it'll be better for me because part of my time was trying to get people to come on the show and having subjects to go on the show, and so Leroon will make more of a focus on that. And like he said, he'll be able to. A big thing with him is Sunday night for him was missing Sunday night family dinner, so he won't have to miss that anymore. And then Matt Akiri's been on the show before, and I'm sure he'll be on again. So we're glad that you were here tonight as well, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So if anybody has anything else they'd like to say, we'll do that. I will give away one more prize as well. And then we're going to stop the stream and restart the stream to play Jackbox TV games. And all of those that are here present with me now are welcome to stay, but you are not thought of in a negative manner if you choose not to. So just that's your choice if you'd like to do that. As I dole out this last prize, which will again be keyword Ben for the same prize, I'll give one more person a pair of those modules that we have. Does anybody have anything that we didn't cover on the show or that they'd like to say before we end?
I would like to say something.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to know for you to tell people who's going to be our guest next week.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Before you say that, I think I bought my house today.
Yay!
Congrats!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's so
good
exciting.
internet.
That is super
Yay.
exciting. Yeah, you will finally be moving from your floating raft just off the coast of California inland to a house where they have internet. I make jokes. Next week's guest is Joshua Watmow. He is the graphics designer, one of the graphics designer for Smiteworks, and he does his own stream on the Fantasy Grounds Twitch channel on Tuesday nights and Saturday afternoons. You'll see if you follow the Twitch. I always tweet out his shows. So he'll be with us next week to talk. And then week after that, we're going to go through the Wildmount module, which comes out on the 17th. And so we won't be going through it immediately, but we'll go through it on the 29th. And then after that, we do want to get the Vampire the Masquerade guys on. We're trying to work that out, but it's not locked in. As you see, it's not highlighted in the proper color. So we don't really have much scheduled after that, but we, of course, will. And Leroon's going to figure out some stuff for us to do, I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay, let's see if we can give away this prize. I never started the timer. I assume that people... Oh, Tilt 5. Yeah, the Tilt 5 people are coming on. But that's probably not going to be till summer. I probably think it's more June, July, or even after that. I'm not sure when that Kickstarter gets what's it called, released or put out. But yeah, they've agreed to come on. Jerry agreed to come on the show, and I think Amy's going to come on with her, but we don't know about that exact date yet. Okay, let's give away this prize. The other winner will be R Hammer 2, Rammer 2. I can never remember if I say that.
Right.
It's R Hammer or Rammer, as I like to think of it. Just like I call M. Clancy McClancy, but that's not how you say it, but that's how I've said it for 4 years. So Rammer, you know what to do. PM me in Discord, and then I'll get you your prize too. Yeah, I can't spell Discord. Holy God. All right. So thanks everybody for hanging out the show. Anything else? Last call for last word, everybody, before we shut the show down and restart it. Anything at all? Going once? Fuck off. Okay, good. Thanks to all my co-hosts, and we look forward to doing the show next week. We will fart. Hold on. I've had a request. Just a second. There it is. We will be back next week, but for those of you that want to stick around and play Jackbox.tv games, which everybody can play, even if you're not playing the game with us in the game, you can still be an audience member and have effect on the game, and it's super fun if you haven't done it before. So we'll go ahead and end the stream, and we'll be back in, say, 5 minutes or so. I'll just restart the stream, and until then, good gaming, everyone.